I hope the audio works in this because I want to try and make a bit of a video on the GPO and the GPO, what happened in 1916 and why it's so important. So, Easter Monday 1916, Patrick Pearse and the other rising leaders came out of the front of the GPO after taking command of it and read out the Proclamation of Independence, one of the first political documents to state the equality between men and women. Over the next 4 or 5 days, the British constantly attacked the headquarters of the 1916 Easter Rising, bombarding it with a gunship from the River Liffey called the Helga, cannon fire and rifle fire from the buildings opposite, for the most part leaving only marks inside columns, so we'll see over here. These are bullet holes, or probably cannon fire from what I saw online on the columns. The rest of the building was completely gutted. We'll just take a walk inside. I won't talk inside because it's still under operation as a post office. And inside you'll see a little plaques commemorating the Easter Rising. So the rising leaders would have been in here, like James Connolly would have been injured, lying on a mattress. They would have used a roof for sniper fire, battling the GPO. Now, there's a little commemoration to it. GPO in 1916. That's about its initial construction. And then you have the statue of Cuchulainn. Dedicated to the men of 1916. Now you have your small museum inside, which could be expanded to be much bigger, and your shop, which already exists. The plan is to turn the upstairs into offices for someone, whoever uses offices anymore, and the bottom floor, commercial retail space, because there's no shops in Dublin, supposedly. So beautiful building inside and out. This gives you a bit more view of the marks. So over 4 or 5 days it was bombed and shelled until it eventually caught fire, and the rising participants had to evacuate. So what they did was, through the site, I could get these locations a bit wrong, but we'll go with what I have. So we're walking down Henry Street now. Now there would have been in the side of the building there was holes broke through. Now the men either went down this lane, which I'm not entirely sure of, but they made their way down along Henry Street and possibly down that lane as well, under constant enemy fire. So Patrick Pearse, Tom Clark, James Connolly, I'm unsure if he was brought down Moore Street because he was already injured. But the rising leaders and men such as Michael Collins and a number of squad members made their way down through the building. So they would have either made themselves down that lane that I missed back there, or they made their way through a hole in the wall behind me and then broke into these buildings that we're walking along now. So this is Moore Street. So what they kept doing was the sledgehammer through the walls, find ways in from the buildings to stay out of fire. And it was during this time that Patrick Pearse and other rising leaders were starting to witness the casualties, the civilian casualties that were happening on the street. Because for a lot of it, they would have been inside the GPO. They might not have witnessed all the killing that was happening out on the street. until they had that breakthrough. Now, I know people are going to comment about the state of Moore Street at the moment, but this isn't for that. This is to highlight the buildings on 1916. So they made their way along until they finally settled where these corrugating bars, sheds are, where they're planning to build another shopping centre, because there's not enough in the Ilac centre right there. So they made their way along and stopped in number 16. So just where that little plaque is, that's all that commemorates the last place of the Irish Republic. So Patrick Pearse and they would have been there, and eventually Elizabeth O'Farrell was sent out to give the surrender notice. But before that, the O'Rahilly, along with a number of other men, led a charge. The end of this street was barricaded with British soldiers, and they were trying to make a breakout to escape. But leading a charge up Moore Street, the O'Rahilly was hit by a number of machine gun fire across his chest and stomach, and he fell into a lane, I think on the right hand side, so over here, on the left hand side, sorry, going up Moore Lane. But he knew he had been seen, so he dashed across into, I don't know what the street was called now, but it's called the O'Rahilly Parade now. And he lay dying on this street for 2 days. And while dying, he wrote a letter, which is written up here. So it begins with "To my darling Nancy," and he discusses how he's been shot and he's waiting to die. He knew he was going to die. So that is just a really quick, brief history of Moore Lane, the Battle of the GPO and the fight up Moore Lane. And then when you continue up this way, sorry, that's Moore Street behind me, Moore Lane's up here in front of me. When you come up this way, top of Moore Lane, is, so just up here, now you see this place is turned into this shithole. But the building at the end of this lane is where Patrick Pearse is famously pictured handing over a surrender notice to whoever, Maxwell I think it was. I don't know if Maxwell's actually in the picture, one of his lieutenants. So that is up here, sorry, out of breath, warm. This building. This one. That's it.